In the ruling in the Gachagua case, there's a mix of things. Okay, one, the judge said that there was a breach of procedure, but we all know that in law, procedure and substance are equally important. So that when procedure is breached, then that will mean that you'll not even go beyond the procedure to look at the end product. In law, the end does not justify the means. So I think, to me, there was a bit of skepticism on how the judgment came. Be that as it may, we are a country governed by the rule of law, and the judiciary is trusted to be the custodians of the law, in the sense that they make judgments and those judgments are binding. So it's important that if there is anything that we feel is not well done, that's why we have appeal. We can appeal. Whoever feels that they've not been heard fairly can appeal. But come to think of it, Parliament had a role to play in this, just like the judges said. Parliament had a serious role to play in it because we are told that, or rather we know the rules of natural justice. One of the cardinals of the rules of natural justice is that no man can be condemned unheard, meaning you ought to be present at your hearing for that hearing to be fair. So when Gachagua got ill during the parliamentary process, I think it was important that the Senate or the bicameral parliament stop the proceedings until such a time when it will be available to respond effectively. So I think just like the judges noted, that was an error. It was a mistake which shouldn't have happened. Now, the National Assembly, whenever they hear such cases, it's in hierarchy, in terms of rank, it's equal to the High Court. Okay? So that trials can be done there and justice can be served at that level. But we also know that we know the politics around this. We know why Gachagua was impeached. Okay. So we know the politics around this, and I think that is what makes it a bit murky, because he fell out with his boss, and that is what caused him. Okay, costed him his seat as a deputy president. All right. So I think there were a lot of things in play when it comes to how Gachagua was impeached. But still, in this Kenya, I think from what I've heard, they're going to appeal. Let them appeal, and once they appeal, when they get judgment from the appellate court, let them adhere to that judgment. That's my advice, because we must not be seen or to be fighting against our judicial system. Yeah, regardless of who we are, whether we are in government or out of government, we must respect the rule of law. As I've said, it's a simple thing. This was, if I may use a very strong term, this was political persecution. Okay, yeah, and it's politics. It's politics all over. Okay, and that's why it pains him that even after putting in so much effort, energy, and resources and to bring this government to power, they fell out, and the consequence was an impeachment. Yeah, so I think if it's possible for Parliament to do something about it, let them enact laws that will curtail political persecution. Now, it will be a mistake to ignore Gachagua in this coming elections. It will be a big mistake. Gachagua is here to stay, whether he is a candidate or not. It will be a very, very big mistake to underrate him. Yeah, because he'll have a say on who, largely on who becomes the leader of opposition, the current opposition as it is. Yeah, you never know. There may be government in 2027, which still he'll have a very big say whether he's impeached or not. If his impeachment is upheld by the appellate court, meaning he cannot vie for public office, then you can be sure that whoever he seconds will become the leader of the united opposition. Facts are facts, and and facts are stubborn. You might want to believe otherwise, but let me tell you what. Gachagua has managed to build a name for himself. Yeah, so, and that's something that you cannot downplay. Yeah. From a clergy point of view, I'll say this. Nobody ever chose where to be born. None of us applied to be born where we were born. So it is wrong for anyone to judge you because of your tribe. And let me ask a question. You who is watching me, who tells you you're a Luo? Who tells you you're a Kikuyu? Who tells you that? Okay? So I think it's important that we rise above this. Let us celebrate our diversities. There's nothing wrong with being a Kikuyu or being a Luo or being a Kalenjin. All these things are God-given. So let us celebrate our diversities positively as opposed to using it negatively. And I think politicians have done a very good job in ensuring that they divide us in terms of tribes, so that you look at your fellow citizen, a human being, as an enemy. It's a mistake. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this rivalry between Luos and Kikuyus, as it is, I think it's wrong. It's wrong. We ought not to celebrate such rivalry. When your neighbor hurts, it's important to be human enough to come through for them, not to ask their tribe first. Okay? Yeah. So I will not celebrate that. It's a mistake. Yeah. That Luos, and not all Luos will be celebrating Gachagua's problems. No. That could be. But Gachagua is not all Kikuyus. Gachagua is, of course, a leader, yes, but he's an individual who should take responsibility for his personal opinion. Okay? But blanket judgment over people because of their tribe, I think that's a mistake. Yeah. Yeah, he said whatever he said, but there are also good Kikuyus. The good Kikuyus, just like there are bad Luos. Not every Luo is a saint. Okay. Not every Kikuyu is a demon. Yeah. So it's important not to judge anyone based on their ethnicity or their tribes. It's a mistake. It shouldn't happen. Look, in politics is about interests. Yeah. There are people even within the united opposition that were hoping that Gachagua fails. True. There are people within the united opposition who will hope that Gachagua will fail. Because Gachagwa's success in court will mean that their chances for being flag bearers are now being limited. So politics is about interest. So the people who have wished, even within the united opposition, that Gachagua does not succeed. Yeah, but the people, of course, who have a goodwill for him. Yeah. Sifuna, I don't know what to say about him, but he's done well. I think Sifuna has done well. And he has been consistent since the time Raila was alive. Sifuna has been very consistent. He has done well. But from a very honest point of view, I don't think he's ready for presidency. That's my personal opinion. Of course, I think he's good. He's very good. But I see Sifuna like a Raila in the making. Yeah, if you study the journey of Raila, there's a time you make your debut in mainstream politics. Then you build a clout around you. Then with that, you now begin moving. I think we'll talk about this past August. And you'll see Sifuna being a kingmaker. He can be a very good kingmaker. He'll definitely have a say in the next government. He'll have a serious position, a serious say in government. Government being parliament, executive and judiciary. So government, we don't have opposition in Kenya, official opposition. No, there's nothing like that today. We have majority and minority sides of government or parliament. Okay?
Okay.
No, go on.
What were somebody ready for presidency?
Ready for presidency? No, tunda lililoiva languka lenyewe. Waswahili sema hivyo. So it's a number of things. It's a number of things that will make people ready for presidency. As I've said, one is that starting from the life of the likes of Raila, it's not something that haven't happened overnight. It took quite a bit of time. And in Kenya, our current constitution tells us that for anyone to be president, they must garner 50 plus 1 votes. 50% plus 1 vote. Now, that's not is not a walk in the park. That's why you see coalitions being formed every now and then, because the politicians know that they can't garner that if they're isolated. Of course, I don't dismiss the fact that if today the united opposition united and brought in Sifuna team on board, I don't doubt that Sifuna will have a very critical role in that formation. He'll have a very critical role, very serious role. Yeah, but I don't know. But my personal opinion is that for presidency, we'll wait to see. And I'm also not saying that he can't. He can. People have pulled surprises. Yeah, people have pulled surprises. So you may just be talking about Sifuna, President Sifuna. Yeah, look at the world over. Madagascar the other day. A DJ became president. So you can also not say that, you cannot dismiss him, that he can't be fully. And again, the other day a footballer became president. So I can't dismiss Sifuna, but from a reasonable bystander point of view, I think Sifuna and his team are ready for presidency, but maybe not now. Yeah.
What if people want him? Because in Western has been crowned. The youth say, if you don't vie, we'll put you there. Because the youth are saying this is what they can. That's the only person they can alienate with. Yes.
I hear you.
Yeah, because the youths are not actually for the
Establishment.
Legacy they want people who are young who can speak the language.
Now, let me say this, and I'm saying this as one person who has been involved in Tukokade movement within Kisumu. 75% of Kenyans are below the age of 35. What does that mean? Today, if the youths were to register as voters, take IDs, register as voters, even if it's just as simple as 80% of young people register as voters and then they go out and vote, then they'll have their own president. Anyone they choose, they can make president. But guess what? They use the very people who don't pick their IDs from their registered persons. After failing to pick their IDs from registered persons, they're the very people who have more apathy than any other person, yet they make the loudest noise. So I don't think any young person has a right to talk politics if they're not ready to vote. They shouldn't talk of politics. They shouldn't castigate any leader. They shouldn't speak about any leader not performing. So I challenge the young people out there that this coming election, you can make Sifuna president by getting out to vote. But if you keep talking, but there's nothing to show, forget about it. You'll just be yapping. Now, in every polling station in Kenya, that is the classroom where you go in to vote. That's a polling station. The school is a polling center. In every polling station, the number of voters that should vote in that station are 700. 700 per polling station. If only 300 vote and 400 abstain, then it does not matter what the other 400 wanted. The 300 will have their way. But if you go out and vote, say if 600 people are to vote in every station, then you'll have your own president. Youths, I challenge you. You can have your president, the one you want. Yeah, the one you're talking about. But it can only happen if you register as a voter, mobilize yourselves, go out and vote. Then you'll have your the president you want. Otherwise, if the status quo remain, let's stop cheating each other. Let's stop lying to each other. There's nothing that will change. Yeah. Raila had been a kingpin in Luo Nyanza for a while. And the direction that he chose influenced the whole community to the man. So I think that being that Gachagua, from our president's speech, the first speech he made when he had brought in Gachagua as his deputy, he said Gachagua is a man who knows mobilization, anajua ground. So I believe strongly that if Gachagua supports anyone and convinces his followers, they will equally support that person. Yeah, that much I believe. Yeah.
About the other day we saw him and Sifuna apologizing for impeaching him, and it seems like there must be a reunion. What do you predict a Sifuna team and your position in the union? What do you expect from there?
Things are not always as you see them. In politics, things may not be always as you always see them. There are things which are done for the optics. Okay, there are things which have real consequence on the ground. So until you see pen to paper, don't take it to the bank; it will bounce. Yeah.
Prediction? What do you think?
For political survival, I think they may just come together for purposes of having a common competitor. They may just come together, because what I know is that the united opposition, or these people in the opposition, they stand no chance against His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto if they're not united. They stand no chance. Zero. Now hiyo atachukua Zumi mapema vile wa rais anasema. If the united opposition is not united as one, His Excellency President Dr. Samoei William Ruto will go back to presidency until 2032. Yeah, but if they're united, and then they used to do what I've just proposed, then if they don't want the president to be re-elected, they'll act on that also, and they will not be re-elected. And I'm glad, I'm happy that President Ruto came out to say that he'll accept the verdict of Kenyans. Yeah, he has said that. So I think that's a very positive thing, which ought to be lauded. Yeah, and all of us, including the opposition, should be able to say that they'll respect the choice of Kenyans. Yeah. We are praying for 2027. As clergy, we are really praying. Yeah. If you hear the drum beats of war being beaten, then I think you should be very worried. Where leaders are beaten left, right, and center, where Gunism is the culture, where politicians hurl insults at each other, where we don't respect the rule of law. I think when you see these things, then you should be very worried. So we are praying for 2027 that Kenya remains peaceful. But if we are not careful, if leaders don't take heed to tone down on the rhetoric, to tone down on the kind of language they're using, insults, then 207 might be like child's play when it comes to 2027. I'm telling you this. Yeah, it's deeply concerning us. Yeah, 207 might be worse. 2027 might make 207 look like child's play. Now, it's important to note that much as there are people who are really against the current regime, there are also people who are for this regime to the bone. Okay? So that could balance off. But I will say that we only have one nation. We only have one nation. We don't have another Kenya. So it is important that we maintain peace. Vijana, peace ndio rada. Maintain the peace. Yeah, because without peace, you'll not be able to move. You'll not be able to hustle. You'll not be able to go to work. You'll not be able to access food. You'll not be able to access your basic needs. If there's no peace in Kenya, you will equally be affected. So it's never about look, the politicians, they can get into planes and get out of Kenya at an instant. But what about you? Okay? So let's maintain the peace. Peace ndio rada wase. Yeah. Peace ndio rada.
Last words.
Yeah, my last words are that let us take cognizance of the fact that Kenya is a nation, one nation under God, and we should zealously guard the peace of this land. We should be keen on ensuring that our justice becomes our shield and defender. We should be careful to guard the gains that we've had in terms of a democratic space. And successive governments should be keen on ensuring that this is guarded at all costs. Let's not be retrogressive and go back to the ages where we came from. Let's allow freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Let's allow it, of course, within the bounds of the law. Freedom to picket. Those are things which are really in our constitution. So I pray that as a nation, we get to know who we are. And let's work on a value system. Look, your neighbor is not your enemy. Let's work on a value system. Value each other. And I think if we do that, then we'll have a nation. But if you don't do that, we'll not have a nation. And politicians, I beg you, politicians, please stop dividing people along ethnic lines, negative ethnicity. It's unfair. It is wrong. Because nobody ever chose to be born where they were born. Nobody chose their tribe. Everybody found themselves being born where they were born. So let us not demonize certain people because of their ethnicity. Let us allow Kenyans to be first of all Kenyans. And that will really help us to grow as a nation. Thank you.